Saudi Arabia pledging another million barrel, cut in output after the surprise cut we saw in April. Are you surprised because the markets were expecting a status quo or thereabouts?
Well, good morning, Nandita, and greetings from Sydney. Now, I'm not really surprised, and I'll tell you why. I think when I digest the market and what's happened over the last couple of months, there is no doubt in my mind that the Saudis, and they say it quite openly, they're really after that $80 plus, 85. And considering what's happened with the US dollar over the last 6 months from 114 for the US dollar index back to the best part of 104, it's had a big washout. And that's really impacting if you're getting paid in US dollars for your crude in petrodollars, then there's less bang for your buck. And there is no doubt that that million barrel cut is their way of trying to get a higher price. And as the Saudi prince came out, the oil minister in the last week said, if you're on the short side and you're trying to play this from a speculation standpoint, you're not going to like how it moves forward. So I think that was the warning. You gave everyone a warning. And I wouldn't have liked to have been short in the last couple of hours.
Right. Peter, last time we saw a surprise cut coming in, the crude prices surged to as much as $87. However, they weren't really sustainable. They came back to levels of somewhere around $72 to $73. Do you think this time this output cut will manage to prop up prices? Or do you think it's the dwindling demand rather that would weigh in on prices again?
Well, at that time when that happened, I take on board as far as the calendar year, and you're just coming out of the lockdowns in China and the end of COVID, and we're talking more in that March sort of time frame. Now you're talking summer driving season in the States. We're in June, and that's traditionally the busiest time for transport and, of course, demand picture. And people are on holidays and they'll be driving across the States because we couldn't do that for a number of years. So I'm expecting more consumption. The other side of it is, yes, I won't be surprised for it to hit back up to those sort of targets. Now, it's too hard to say whether it's going to do it in the next week or 2 weeks, but I think the overall fundamentals are going to push it higher from here. And you're also looking at the other side, which is the geopolitical concerns, the Taiwan situation, what's going on with Ukraine still. And I take on board the weather outages that traditionally run in from late July, early August for the hurricane season.
Right. What is the possibility of crude, going above that $90 mark? Or, on the contrary, do you expect it to somewhere slip below that $70 mark, given the kind of, slowdown in demand from top 3 consuming nations like US, European Union, as well as China?
I don't necessarily think it's going to fall below 70. If it does, then it's going to be, I think, short-lived. So I'm expecting, I'm tilted to the other side. I think that there's more upside than downside risk. And that seems to be really, I think, where a lot of traders are thinking. And I'll be interested to see how it all works forward over the next matter of weeks leading up into July.
Do you expect Saudi to extend the cuts beyond July now, or do you expect them to? You do. So, what is the medium term? Right. So, what is the medium term outlook on crude? In fact, for the current year, where do you expect crude to settle?
Well, we're 7 months out till New Year's Eve, so that's a very long time frame, and there's a lot of water that has to pass under the bridge between now and then, Nandita. So, look, I won't be surprised for it to hit 90 over that window. I won't be surprised if it went higher, but I just think that there's a lot of time to really take on board and a lot of global themes that need to play out. Rate cycle, what's happening as far as inflation, where do we go with US dollar, and of course, what happens from a geopolitical standpoint. And then you're talking about, seasonality demand. So, I do think that it's going to be higher than where we are at the moment.